Okay, in the previous video, we were talking about sketching quadratic equations which are in the form x minus alpha, x minus beta, where alpha and beta are just any values, any constants. And more importantly, these are just more like roots of a given quadratic equation. What if it was in this way? Y is equal to x squared minus 2x minus 3. How can we attempt this? Well, just by looking at it, you're going to see that the coefficient of x squared is a positive. So because the coefficient of x squared is a positive, then this graph is going to have a minimum nature. So even before we sketch it, we already know that it's going to come out like this. It's a minimum, so it's dropping down and rising up. So like we had discussed, it's more important that we first find our intercepts. So our intercepts here, when determining our y-intercept, remember we always let our x be equal to 0. So you're going to notice that wherever there is x in the equation, 0 is being substituted. So this is like 0 squared minus 2. Have you noticed? Where there is x, we're putting 0. So this is just going to be like 0 minus 2 times 0. That's just like 0. So 0 minus 3. That's the negative 3 value that we're seeing there. Okay, that's the negative 3 value that we're seeing there. Now, there are two ways in which you can determine your x-intercepts. There are two ways in which you can determine your roots this time. Two ways. If you want, you may use the quadratic formula, which is x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, and take note, the whole of this thing should be over 2a, where y is equal to what? Is equal to 0. That is, when you are determining your x-intercept here, intercepts here, alright? So just to shed more light, your a is going to be 1. That's the coefficient of x squared. B is going to be negative 2. Don't leave out the signs. And C is not just going to be 3, like just 3, 3, as in a positive one. No, it's going to be negative 3. Okay, so you can just simply get these values and you put them here. But of course, again, if you see that maybe this one can be rather long, you can solve the equation, the quadratic equation, by factorization. You can solve the quadratic equation by what? By factorization. So again, we are letting know y be equal to 0. So this is going to be x squared minus 2x minus 3 is equal to 0. By factorization, at least we need to know our product sum and factors. So when determining your product is always that first number. Or let me better say, when determining it, we always multiply our coefficient of x squared with the c value, the y-intercept. So it's 1 times negative 3. This is where the negative 3 is coming from. When you're talking about the sum, we always pick that middle number, which in this case is going to be negative 2. So that's the negative 2 that you're seeing here. Well, our factors here are going to be 1 and negative 3. These are two numbers. How is that when we multiply them, they are giving us negative 3, hence product. And when we add them, they're giving us negative 2, hence sum. Sum means addition. Product means multiplication. So your factors are basically those numbers. When you add them, they give you your sum. When you multiply them, they give you your product. So 1 and negative 3. Because of this, we can just take these things directly and put it here. So this is going to be x, because this is 1. So positive 1, it's a positive even. So x plus 1, like that. You open your brackets, x, this is your negative 3. So x minus 3 in that way is equal to 0. Like we had discussed in the previous problem, we are going to equate these things directly or individually to 0. So x plus 1 is equal to 0. So the x value is going to be negative 1. X minus 3 will also be equated to 0. So x is going to be positive 3. Now, remember, I've already guided you on to say that your intercepts are not enough. You now need to know your turning point. You now need to know your turning point. Now, when determining our turning point here, I'll use this direct one. Negative b over 2a. And then this is going to be 4ac minus b squared over 4a. Let's use this one. According to what we had analyzed, a was 1, b is negative 2, and c is negative 3. So this is going to be like this. Watch. Negative. Don't just say negative 2 directly, because subconsciously someone can just be like, okay, negative 2 like that. Well, signs needs to be observed. This is negative 2. And there is a negative. It's part of the formula. So it's open your brackets and then you say negative 2 over 2. Your a is 1, comma 4. Your a is 1. Your c is negative 3 minus your b, watch, negative 2 squared. And then the whole of this thing is going to be over 4a. Negative times negative, that's positive. So 2 over 2 times 1, this is just going to be 2 again. Comma. Well, 4 times 1, that's 4. With a negative 3, this is going to be negative 12. Don't directly go to say negative times negative, positive, and then you work out the square. That's wrong. Sort out the thing that is already inside here. So negative 2 squared is positive 4. Okay, positive 4. But because there's a negative outside, well, it's still going to be negative. So every value that you put in here, because of this, it's just going to be negative. 4 times 1, 4. So this is going to be 1. Negative 4, because negative 12 minus 4, this is going to be negative 16. And negative 16 divided by 4, I mean, this is just going to be negative 4. Just a recap. 1, x is equal to 1 is our equation of symmetry. 4 is your, in this case, because the graph is having a minimum nature, your negative 4 is going to be your minimum value of y. Minimum value of y. Okay, let's now sketch it. Oh, that's a terrible arrow. It's going to go in that way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, 1, and negative, negative 2, negative 3. Let me extend this a little. Negative 4. 1, 2, I think I'm just going to do 3. Okay, let's identify our intercepts: -1, +3, -1, +3. Okay, your y-intercept is going to be -2, I believe. Is it -2? No, -3. Okay, -3. That's what we even found here. So this is going to be -3. Let us not forget our turning point. Our turning point is 1, -4. So 1, -4, they're meeting here. Okay, so if it's sketching it, remember -1, -3, and then -4, and then +3. So it's going to come, turn, and then rises like that, in that way. You have shown them your turning point, which is -1, or +1 rather, comma -4, 3, the -1, your y-intercept, -3, and most importantly, like I'd guided you on, always label. So this is y is equal to x squared minus 2x minus 3. And that's it. Once you do that, then you have already sketched your quadratic equation in that form. So I hope this helps.